coming to you again. It's my third video of the day. I have a very fun story for you. I use that term fun loosely. I used to live in Florida, Southwest Florida. Now I live in Wichita, Kansas. Now when I lived in Florida, you guys remember Katie? She was my assistant for everything. She was my wife. And eventually, me and Katie divorced. Our official divorce date was June 24th, 2016. We had a little bit of a problem in 2015. And then in 2016, when I was in New Zealand, she asked me for the divorce. And that happened. But let's go back a little bit. We got married October 10th, 2007. 3 months later, a woman put a Blessed Miraculous Medal in my hand. I saw the Virgin Mary. She took me by the hand and led me to Divine Mercy Jesus. Then I started going to daily Mass the next day. And the priest that brought me into the church, that's how I got all my sacraments. This is pretty much where this fun story begins, because I started going to the priest for all my sacraments, and that included my confirmation and my first annulment. I've been married twice. And so my first annulment, but I didn't even know I received my first annulment. And then I had my confirmation in May. Easter had been prior to that, but after 5 months of receiving a bunch of sacraments, he didn't want to wait a full year to bring me officially into the church. So he brought me in May of 2008. Well, then almost 2 years later, we found out that we were supposed to be married in the church. And we didn't know that. We didn't have any clue of that. So we made an appointment with the priest that brought us into the church, and he brought us before the tabernacle, and it was myself and Katie and the priest and Jesus. Now, I know if you're Catholic, you're watching this video going, wait a minute, you're missing something. Yes, we were missing witnesses, but no one told us about witnesses. We didn't have any clue of this. And then, it was soon after that we moved to Florida. So we lived in Vermont at that time, and we moved down to Florida. And then fast forward a bunch of years later, we were married for a total of 8.5 years. And then the divorce occurred. And then we started wondering about an annulment. And so I started going to our local priest down in the Fort Myers area. And we looked into what it would take to get an annulment. And looking into this, and eventually I moved to Wichita, Kansas, still pursuing the annulment process. So when I was in Florida, they said I did not need an annulment because my marriage was not valid. But when I moved to Wichita, I spoke with a canon lawyer, and he said because we lived as a husband and wife, that God recognizes our marriage, even though it's not valid. So my annulment will go through without any problem because we weren't validly married in the Catholic Church. But now remember, I said that I was married once before. When we contacted the priest over that, he said that at my life confession, just before I came into the church, just before I got absolution for the first time, that he gave me an annulment in the internal forum. I had no idea what that meant. The first time I heard that was down in Florida after my divorce. So 8.5 years later, I'm hearing about an annulment in the internal form. I'm unfamiliar with this term. Then the priest down there that we worked with as well had never heard of it and didn't know what it meant. Apparently, it's that he petitions God on my behalf to give me an annulment. When I talked to the canon lawyer in Wichita, he said that that is a real thing, that it does really exist, but the only priest that can do that is the Pope. The priest that I was seeing in Vermont was not the Pope. So my first annulment does not count, and my second marriage does not count. And then remember that I came into the church in May of 2008. I took the confirmation name Benedict. Benedict to me was the coolest saint. And I thought, I'll bet with my long hair and my beard, kind of look like him. So I thought, yeah, let's do that. Now I think maybe I should take Padre Pio, because, check out the beard and the hair. Maybe not. Okay, so when I was talking with the priest that is helping me with my annulment, they looked up when I was confirmed. And the priest told them he came into the church in May of 2008. And they said, fantastic, can you send us the written record of that? No. Why not? Because he didn't keep a record of it in that particular church. So they asked him, what church do you keep those records in? It's not a written record anywhere. He can tell you that I officially came into the church and what month that I did it and the confirmation saint that I had, but there's no proof of it. So I had to be reconfirmed this year. How apropos that my confirmation day was April 1st, April Fool's Day. Yay me. I took Benedict again, as he has never failed me. And I had a sponsor, which I didn't have the first time. I don't even remember. I barely knew anything about the Catholic Church when I came in. I received all my sacraments, but I was really new at this. So this time around, I actually had a real sponsor. She's hoping that I don't say her name. She's sitting right over to my right and on the floor, waiting to hit the button to pause my video. She's the editor of my book, by the way. If you want to know her name, buy my book and read page 2 or 3. It's on the copyright page. Her name is right there, editor. I don't think she wants me to say it though right now. So she's shy. What do you expect? Can you imagine somebody shy working for me? Yeah, I can't imagine that either. So 10 years after I entered the Catholic Church, I had to enter the Catholic Church again. So my confirmation name, again, is Benedict. I came in actually at the Easter Vigil. So in theory, I came into the church on March 31st, but the Mass lasts till after midnight. So it counts as April Fool's Day. Still exciting to me, though. It's exciting to be officially Catholic twice. And the reason I bring all of this up is that I'm submitting my annulment paperwork. We are finally done with all my annulment paperwork from both of my annulments, and I hope to be turning it in either tomorrow or the next day. And my editor and my confirmation sponsor also assisted me with my annulment paperwork, and I am eternally grateful. Thank you very much for tuning in to this third video.